So anyway, Tennessee, like everybody knows that we're from Tennessee.
Yes. Yeah.
And we try to cover mostly stuff in Tennessee because, we're familiar with it, but we also have a lot of family there. So it can be disgusting because we're worried about our family and, things that could happen to them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Very true.
And through all this, we're starting really what's going to be our third year soon.
Yes.
And
wow.
Gosh, time flies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't help it. I got to giggle a little bit. Like we're noticing this really dirty trend.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to giggle about it though.
But still, you're like, it's kind of what we're seeing is it's in your face, and it's almost like nobody wants to do a damn thing or even admit it.
That's right.
Yeah. It's crazy. So in this area, that we're going to be talking about again today, is the 13th Judicial District of Tennessee.
Yes. The hills of Hillam, Tennessee, and Overton County, Tennessee.
Yeah. And a couple other counties are included in that district too, right?
Yes, I believe so. I think Jackson County.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one more. Now, I know that like where Hillam, Tennessee is,
Mm-hmm.
it's about an hour and 15 minutes east of Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an hour and 45 minutes. I don't know exactly. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's not just really long. And then from Cookeville, it is about 20 minutes north.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty close to Cookeville.
Okay. So we're still in the middle part of Tennessee, right?
Close to Kentucky.
Yeah,
pretty
but
close.
Central north, more or
Right.
less. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
East of Nashville, west of Knoxville area.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, and you've told me some frightening things about this area, that there are multiple cases in this area that just more or less feel like the district attorney there just kicks them out the door.
Well, we
doesn't do anything.
That's right. We covered one back when we first started, and that was Lauren Agee.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that one?
Yeah, at the lake up there.
Wake Fest, yeah. And we covered that one. So there's one right there.
Mm-hmm.
There's another that happened in 2014 that we have not covered, but I think we might go back and cover it.
Uh-huh.
And that is the case of Courtney Cash, who is Johnny Cash's great niece.
Okay.
So there was a case up there where she was murdered and put into a box inside of her home.
Uh-huh.
Her boyfriend and a friend of his were involved, and there was drugs involved. And we'll go into that when we talk about that case.
Well, and I'm assuming that's after Johnny and June Carter passed.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That was 2014 that this happened with Courtney. And then there was a case in 2019 that's going to take us to the exact road and town of the case we're going to talk about in depth today. And that was Turkey Town Road in Hillam, Tennessee.
Yeah. So again, this is a point that we've got to go back and maybe cover some of this other stuff because it's, concentric to this area and this particular district attorney that represents that area. And
right.
We've experienced this before in the Kingsport area with a few cases up there too.
Right. It just seems like all these women are falling through the cracks. Now, the case that I was referring to on Turkey Town Road, that's not the one we're talking about today, was that of, his name was Aaron Shane Key. And it, that happened in 2019.
Okay.
So, all this there's a lot of information on all these cases I just named off, and we'll go into more of them later on down the road. But today, I want to focus on this particular case out of Hillam, Tennessee.
Yeah. So everybody pay close attention here because, again, we're going to be visiting this area quite a bit over the next few episodes.
Right. But today we're going to talk about 26-year-old Caitlyn Abree Ledbetter. And on May the 2nd of 2021, 26-year-old Caitlyn jumps out of her father's home, out of her bedroom window, and she runs off into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And she has not been seen since. So I want to go into depth about that.
Yeah. So it was early summer.
It was May the 2nd of 2021. So
Yeah. So
we're
the end of spring.
right. We're
Yeah.
looking at COVID time too.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about that too. And maybe that has something to do with what was going on. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
There's a lot to this. And I really had to dig for this because there's just not a lot of media attention
Mm-hmm.
at all. Um, Caitlyn, she had a boyfriend, and
Well, before you get into all that, tell us about Caitlyn. Where was she born? Where was she from? Uh,
okay,
Set Caitlyn up for us.
all right. So Caitlyn was born on June the 4th of 1995, the middle child to Scotty and Tracy Ledbetter,
Mm-hmm.
and she was born in Indiana. Grew up in Indiana,
Yeah.
and she was the middle child. Like I said, she had an older sister that was kind of really close to her in age, kind of like you and Reagan.
Sure.
Just very close, maybe a year.
Yeah.
That was Kaylee. And then she had another brother that was younger than her,
Mm-hmm.
Aaron. So, Scotty and Tracy stayed married for, a little while. Um, they were together altogether like 20 years. But in 1998, Tracy separated from Scotty, and Scotty moved to Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
to Hillam, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids stayed with their mother, Tracy, in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
But looking into this a little bit more, it looks like Caitlyn may have came down like in 2011
Mm-hmm.
and went to school in Hillam for a little while.
Okay. So what kind of girl was she? I mean, was she narcissistic? I mean, did she have a bunch of friends? And tell me more about her.
Caitlyn was very quiet and had a very sweet voice. I went back and listened to some of her videos of her talking,
Mm-hmm.
and she sounds just like she looks.
Mm-hmm.
Very soft and sweet, and no, very non-judgmental. Our family says she was a hippie, a gypsy.
Yeah. Yeah.
She, like I said, in 2011, when she came down to live with her dad and went to Tennessee schools, I think she made some friends, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's when she met her boyfriend, Dustin Loftus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure they were boyfriend and girlfriend at that time because she did go back to Indiana and
Mm-hmm.
graduate from Ben Davis High School.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2013, Tracy Ledbetter, Caitlyn's mom, just tragically passes away.
Why'd she die? Do you know?
Haven't been able to find the reason of that. She was only 38 years old.
But do you know if she had suffered over an illness for some time or something? Anything?
Looked back at some posts from Caitlyn, and
Mm-hmm.
it looked like she battled with some lung issues
Gotcha.
about a year before she passed away in 2013.
Yeah.
Now, after Scotty and Tracy divorced in 2000, Tracy had another daughter too with another man.
Mm-hmm.
Her name was Katara, and Caitlyn and Katara were very close too. So she was very close to all her siblings.
Yeah.
So she moves down here in 2013 with her brother Aaron and moves in with her dad. And she goes on with her life. Looks like she got closer to Dustin and Dustin's family. His mother, Terry Loftus, has put a lot of things up on social media and on the Farrier files. They covered this case, and she was on there talking about Caitlyn
Mm-hmm.
and what a sweetheart she was and how kids just came flocked to her. And I looked at pictures of Caitlyn, and I did see a lot of children that were just all over her, like the aunt, the favorite aunt.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
The cool aunt.
Uh-huh.
And also in 2018, she was in a video with Yellow Wolf and MGK. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of a big deal. And I went back and even looked at the video, and I saw several girls that looked like Caitlyn, but I wouldn't be sure. I wouldn't be sure.
Yeah.
But yes, and she's got pictures that she took with these guys, and looked like she was having a really big time. And that was in Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And 2018.
Mm-hmm.
She's working for this screen printing company. And I guess whenever COVID hit, she took some, that was it for a minute with work. Everybody had to take off.
Oh yeah, everybody had to either work from home or just not work at all.
It seems crazy to look back on it now that everybody was home.
Mm-hmm.
And she's living with her dad, and her dad had a living girlfriend, and her name is Crystal Dean. She was 36 years old. So, I mean, everything seems pretty normal for Caitlyn, And I don't know if being at the house would have been tough with everybody during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But so here it is, May the 2nd of 2021, and what's going on?
Yeah.
She gets into an argument with her dad's girlfriend, Crystal.
Allegedly. We don't know that to be true. Yeah.
Allegedly. She gets into an argument with her dad's girlfriend, Crystal, and she takes the screen out of her bedroom window and takes off into the woods. 5:30 in the morning. Okay. 5:30 in the morning. She doesn't take her phone. She is barefoot, and she's wearing little boy shorts, white with blue polka dots. She's got on a crop top, blue crop top, and no shoes, no phone, no car.
Yeah, I know even though it's May, but they're in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains, and it's still pretty cool some mornings like that.
So looking back on the temperature that morning at 5:30 a.m., wasn't quite daylight yet, right before, and it was 58 degrees.
Yeah.
So, it's not freezing cold, but if you don't have any shoes on, and in this terrain, I want to talk about what it's like in Hillam, Tennessee. It's woods. Turkeytown Road is like 5.2 miles long. And it seems like everybody that lives in Hillam pretty much lives on that road because it's only like 300 and something people is the population. So, I mean,
and talk about the terrain too. She's fighting, like you said, it's woods.
It's woods. I mean,
there's
gravel,
rattlesnakes, there's copperheads, there's black bear, there's
I mean, there's all kinds of mess up there. And hills. I mean, so you're not getting out and walking on flat, soft grass with nothing around. I don't know what kind of animals are up there, but do you?
Yeah, I just listed some.
Oh, did you? What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Like rattlesnakes and copperheads and bears and coyotes and there's probably some crazy fox squirrels and stuff out there.
Right.
It's but underfoot, it's not a comfortable place to be walking around.
No, and think about it. I mean, Caitlyn is a pretty level-headed person from what everyone says about her. Like she was quiet and shy and not going to raise hell. I mean, unless it was necessary. She was standing up for someone she cared about. But other than that, she was a level-headed girl.
Yeah, and there's not any indications that she was a Girl Scout or Boy Scout or survivalist or any of that kind of stuff.
Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, especially jumping out a window in, little shorts and
not taking her phone. 26 years old. What the hell? I mean, okay, if she would have planned for someone to pick her up, she wouldn't have had her phone with her.
Yeah.
And I got into looking at this a little bit more. I mean, she didn't even have service on her phone at that time. So she had to be at the house to use it. She had to have the Wi-Fi to use that phone at that time. So it's 7:54 a.m., about 2.5 hours after she jumps out of the window, there was a group message sent out from Caitlyn's phone, sent out to her aunt and her siblings. And it was not worded correctly. It was
say?
Like took off and kind of went into, like I took off, I left.
So let me get this straight. She left the house at 5:30. And almost 2 hours later, this message goes out, but yet we know, we assume that through interviews with her dad that her phone was still in the house after she left.
Right.
But yet this message gets sent out.
This message gets sent from her phone at 7:54, and around 7:58, Aaron Ledbetter, who is Caitlyn's brother, he had already moved back to Indiana. So at this time, he had moved back to Indiana. He receives a phone call from his father, Scotty Ledbetter, and his dad says, Caitlyn took off. I can't find her. She's gone off into the woods, and I don't think she's coming back. Well, just a few moments before that, her oldest sister, Kaylee, got that message from Caitlyn, and she knew it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. So she's calling her dad. What's going on? And he says, well, she'll be back. Don't worry about it. She's not in the woods. She'll be back. Don't worry about it.
Did she say that he told her something along the lines, well, she does this?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like a no big deal kind of thing with him.
Yeah, it's an afterthought.
Right. But Kaylee insisted that she comes down. So her and Aaron drive to Tennessee separately. And she arrives at Scotty's house, her dad's house, on the next day, which would have been May the 3rd. So Caitlyn's been missing for 24 hours. And there's been no report, and she's not come back. And there's been no more messages, and her phone's there at the house.
Yeah.
So Kaylee's telling her dad, we've got to go file a missing person report. Well, he's like, I want to sleep. I'm going to sleep first.
Totally disinterested, like
disconnected.
Yeah.
Totally disconnected. Very suspicious at this time, and this is just the beginning. So he sleeps all day, and at 9:30 that night, he and Crystal, his girlfriend, decide that they will go to the police station and file a missing person report. And Kaylee wanted to go with him, and he wouldn't allow that. So he takes her and drops her off at Burger King and leaves her there for 2 hours while he goes and files this missing person report with his girlfriend. Why didn't he
just leave her at the house?
Or why didn't he? I don't know. That's weird to me too. And I got a lot of this information from a podcast called TC Spotlight. And Kaylee and Caitlyn's Aunt Tonda are on there talking. So I got a lot of information from, that's where this is coming from, some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So they do this. He goes in, he comes back from this police station, supposedly. I guess he did. And he tells Kaylee and Aaron that there's nothing the police will do about it because Caitlyn is 26 years old, and if she wants to jump out of the window, she can jump out of the window and leave anytime she wants to. Well, that didn't sit well with Kaylee. And on the very, very next morning, they go looking. They go searching around the house.
Yeah.
So that would have been Kaylee, Aaron, Crystal, and Scotty Ledbetter. And when they get out into the woods and they're looking around, Aaron and Kaylee get very upset. Just thinking about looking around at this area and thinking about their sister, this sweet, soft, beautiful girl, is out here wandering around, or did somebody get her? What is going on? And Scott looks at them and starts making fun of them and mocking them and just becomes outraged with anger. And says, go back to the house.
Yeah.
So they go back to the house, and when they get there, Scott says, I want to borrow Aaron's gun and go out and look for Caitlyn. And he's out there, and it's raining. At this point, it's raining. It's cold. It's cold. And he's out there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And Kaylee said when he comes back, he comes through the front door, and he sits on the arm of the couch, and he's just wailing. And he keeps saying, I've lost my girl. She's gone. She's gone. She's never coming back.
But how would he, unless it's like a parent's gut feeling, which
and
men typically don't do that quite like a woman or a mom.
We'll give him that.
But how was he able to know that? Do you think this was just a farce? Like this was a put on for everybody?
I think he had a breakdown. Maybe it was a guilty conscience.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he knew more than anyone else.
Okay.
You remember when she jumps out the window, there was only 2 witnesses, and one was him, and the other one was Crystal Dean, his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was odd for Kaylee. Of course, that's odd.
Yeah.
She ends up going back to Indiana. Kaylee does, and coming back a couple days later to search again. When she gets back to her dad's house a couple days later, I believe that would have been May the 6th. That is when the police show up. So there are police that came and searched that area on May the 6th. So that would have been 4 days after she went missing.
Yeah.
And I think they may have spent a couple, I mean, looking at some posts, that it looks like they may have spent like a day and a half there. They brought the dogs out. Never did go into the house, though. They never stepped foot into Scott's house, which is odd to me, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, I guess at this point, you know, they're talking to Scott and he's telling them that, Dustin,
Kaylee's boyfriend.
Caitlyn's
Or
boyfriend,
Caitlyn's boyfriend, yeah.
he's telling them that, he's the dealer. He serves a lot of people in this county. And this is what one of the police officers tells Caitlyn's aunt.
Mm-hmm.
She's confused. Like, what do you mean? Who's telling you this? And they told her, that Scott was telling them that Dustin was dealing drugs and that, he was the main one around. I want to talk about Scott a little bit and Crystal because they were on drugs.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's talk about them because
Yeah.
I think a picture's developing about Scott or Scotty,
Right.
but it's not a good one.
Right. No, it's not. And during those days, there's a lot of confusion between Dustin and his mother, Terry Loftus, and Kaylee or Caitlyn's family. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
Several reports I saw where Dustin put the missing person report out and his mother.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm confused about that.
But before you get there, like I want people to understand, like Dustin, her boyfriend's mother got really close with her.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like she knew her mom had passed away and stuff like that. So they had a really good bond.
They had a close relationship, and what it looks like from what Dustin has posted in the past, him and Caitlyn knew each other for about 10 years.
Oh.
They were even engaged. So I think they were engaged for about 18 months.
Yeah.
But Scotty never really dated anybody after him and Tracy Ledbetter divorced at all. And it was odd for him to do that. But he did bring in this Crystal Dean. And I think that probably was one of the first people that his kids even knew that he was ever dated after the divorce. And she was tied to this house that we're going to talk about in another case. Aaron Shane Key. But, she came about, I think it was more of a drug kind of thing. But Scotty was, from what his kids say, they all call him a sociopath. He wasn't exactly nice to Caitlyn. He would cut the water off when she was in the shower just to bully her. And we said that she jumped out of the window wearing boy shorts and a little tank top. Haley says that Caitlyn never dressed that way in her dad's house, ever. Yeah. She wouldn't wear bathing suits. If she ever wore shorts, it would be basketball, like long shorts.
Long ones, yeah.
Because he would make fun of her and put her down.
Yeah, make fun of her about her weight and stuff like that, yeah.
So that's, that's pretty shitty. And from what I understand, he was not a good father. And he was very abusive to their mother, Tracy, when she was alive and when they were married. So even physically to the kids.
So this makes more sense about Scotty when he goes out looking for Caitlyn and comes back. And, that tells me he has this breakdown and it's all theatrical. Like, it feels like that was done On purpose, maybe.
or it was an uh-oh moment, like I can't take this back.
If he was a sociopath, I don't think so. I think he was doing it just to put on a show.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Wow. Okay.
So that there's a little picture of their relationship with his children and with women. And so I wanted to find out a little bit more about Dustin and Caitlyn's relationship because, you know, these are the people that were playing a big part in her life when she disappeared.
Yeah. Yep.
So did Dustin pick her up that morning? That's what some people think, that he could be a suspect in this. Kaylee on the TC Spotlight podcast did say that about 8 weeks before Caitlyn went missing, Dustin and her were having a lot of issues, and that Dustin actually gave Caitlyn a concussion.
Oh.
And she went to her sister's house and was going to stay.
Yeah.
And during that time that she was there, you know, that they're young and they're breaking up from this toxic relationship. And Caitlyn's deciding that she wants to stay up there for good. But she's talking to him still, talking to Dustin. And when she's talking to him, she's telling, you know, he's at her dad's house, which is odd because the reason why Caitlyn supposedly got into an argument that night, there were several different stories that were given by Scotty. One, and Crystal. One was that she got into an argument with Crystal because she was trying to sacrifice Crystal's dog.
God.
And Scotty ended up busting through her bedroom door where she had the dog, and she got scared and jumped out of the window and ran into the woods. Caitlyn was not on drugs.
And mind you, this is a very loving, hippie-ish kind of girl.
Little, you know, she didn't do any drugs. She did like to smoke pot, and she would have a drink every now and then, but she was not a big drinker.
Oh, yeah.
And she did not have mental health issues.
Yeah, she's the perfect candidate for sacrificing small animals.
Sure. I mean, and we've already talked about how much I looked through these pictures and how much she had kids and animals all around her. They just loved her.
All right, so we know Scotty's full of shit about that one.
Well, yeah, him and Crystal said that one. And then there was the argument that Caitlyn was trying to bring Dustin over to spend the night too much. And Scotty did not want him there. And she got mad because at 5:30 in the morning, though, they're going to fight about this shit.
Yeah, no.
So that takes us back to where, you know, Dustin had given her a concussion and she's up at her sister's several weeks before she goes missing. And Kaylee says that Caitlyn tells her that Dustin is at her dad's house. And she's like, why the hell is Dustin over there? You know, but you know, he's not there.
Yeah, you brought up a trend about this earlier, or not earlier in the podcast, but you and I discussed this earlier, that anytime she was around, he did not want her boyfriend there, but yet when she was gone,
boyfriend was there.
Was always there.
Was at Scotty's house.
Yeah. Okay.
So from what I hear from, you know, what I hear in this podcast from Kaylee, Caitlyn had some proof that there was a different kind of relationship going on between Scotty and Dustin. I'm not sure what that means. But Crystal, whenever Kaylee came down to look for Caitlyn, Crystal told Kaylee that she was a lesbian, Crystal was, and that Scotty, she knew he was gay as well.
Okay, so her dad's girlfriend declares that she's a lesbian, and then tells her that her dad is gay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just making sure I understand.
You know, she could tell these things, and she felt like something was going on between Dustin and Scotty. Caitlyn did too. And she'd been telling her sister this for about 2 years. But while she was up there this last time, before she goes missing, she claims that she has proof.
Oh,
It's almost like one of them had something on the other.
you mean Caitlyn and Dustin?
No, Dottie and Dustin.
Okay, Scotty and Dustin. But
Yeah.
now you just said Caitlyn had proof.
Caitlyn had proof, is what Kaylee says,
Gotcha. Okay.
that there was a different kind of relationship there. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if this was a homosexual relationship or if this is
A business
a
relationship
business
involving
relationship.
drugs.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. I know that Dustin did spend some time in jail. I don't know what for. And that doesn't have anything to do with anything, but it could be that there was some drug dealing going on or something that
Mm-hmm.
had put him there before. And with the police officer saying that he knew, and everybody in town knew that Dustin was serving up drugs to people,
Mm-hmm.
that could be what it was. And I wanted to look deeper into that. So you know how I am.
Yeah.
I'm going into Scott's Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at Scotty Ledbetter's Facebook. And just 2 days ago, 2 days ago, he changes his profile picture to the gay flag, like the
The rainbow
the
flag.
rainbow flag.
Yeah.
And underneath it, he has that he is on the down low with men and that he charges $100 per person and $500 for a group.
Oh Lord.
And I'm thinking, holy shit. Like, was Caitlyn right? Was Crystal right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So my head's turning around. I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
who was the soft person in Caitlyn's life? There's all this shit going on. She's up in Indiana, and Dustin ends up talking her into coming back to Tennessee. And she goes. He comes and gets her and takes her back to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And just like a week or two later is when she disappears. So
So
there's a little bit of that.
so do you think when you say soft person in her life, do you think Dustin's mom was like the soft person, or do you think it was her sister?
I think it was her sisters. And I'm
Yeah.
maybe Terry Loftus too, because she's really fighting hard. And when we talk about Dustin, I really wanted to look into Dustin because I feel like it's not really fair to say all these things. It's all alleged,
Right.
everything we
That's
said
right.
about Dustin. And looking back over the past 3 years since Caitlyn's been missing, he has been a huge force about posting
Mm-hmm.
missing posters and old messages. And I learned a lot about their closeness. And I
Right.
think they were just really young. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know that he wasn't using something at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a young, toxic relationship, but it was codependent even.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some letters from Caitlyn to Dustin, and there was a lot of apologizing. Please don't leave me. I'm so sorry. And that, that kind of broke my heart for her.
Mm-hmm.
I think about her, really not having her sisters and her aunt, are her aunts are 5.5 hours away,
Mm-hmm.
and her mom's gone. And who did she have that showed her that softness?
Yeah.
She wasn't on drugs. And you can look at pictures of Caitlyn and tell she was very healthy.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I say like she had to have a really close bond with Dustin's mom because she was in the area.
Right.
And that was maybe her only outlet.
Right.
And it sounds to me like a lot of assumptions got to her.
Right. Now, police did on May the 6th did bring in bloodhounds, and these dogs go around the area that Caitlyn, supposedly walked off into.
Mm-hmm.
And it led them down to the road. The dogs did. They claim they saw a footprint in the dirt, in the mud,
Mm-hmm.
and then she must have gotten in the car with someone.
Mm-hmm.
There are no pictures of this footprint. This is just, so they just left. I mean, they said the investigation was to stay open, but she was of age to leave if she wanted to. And the dogs show that she did leave.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't think she ever left. And like I said, they never did go into the house. Cops never did go into the house.
Mm-hmm.
They never did look in the bedroom where she jumped out of this window or took the screen out. They say it's about 7 feet up. I mean, it just seems very unlikely. And according to Caitlyn's family, she would have never done these things. Never jumped out of the window at 5:30 in the morning. She wouldn't even be awake at 5:30 in the morning. So, I mean, much less be up fighting about one, her boyfriend being staying the night there when he'd been there, you know, when she wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So there was definitely some type of relationship going on with Dustin and her dad.
Yeah.
And then, Crystal, and she's telling these like crystal meth stories, of sacrificing dogs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, so several months go by and 3 months. And on August the 23rd of 2021, Scotty Ledbetter's house catches on fire. And, you know, it burns to the ground.
Yeah,
He gets out.
completely. Pile of ash.
Right. He gets out with the beloved dog that was going to be sacrificed by Caitlyn.
Mm-hmm.
But Crystal, his living girlfriend, is not
She
found
weren't so
safe.
lucky.
She was not so lucky.
Mm-mm.
And she was found locked in the basement and was deceased.
Mm.
Now, something that Caitlyn's sister Kaylee did say is that she has spoken to Crystal Dean's mother,
Mm-hmm.
and Crystal's mother has messages on her phone from Crystal from the week before Crystal passed away, claiming that Scotty was locking her in the basement and that she was having to use the bathroom, like in buckets down there. And
Good
yeah,
Lord. So
yeah,
she was a prisoner.
right,
And it wasn't just a few hours here and there. It sounded like it was days to weeks even.
right, right.
Wow.
So
Mm.
when that happened, here come the police, and they they open up an investigation on that, and they bring in the TBI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now they bring in the TBI, and now they're like, okay, we didn't even go in and search this house for Caitlyn, and there was not an official search, and I don't know what that means because they did bring the dogs out on May the 6th,
Mm-hmm.
but there was not an official search for Caitlyn until 9 months after she went missing. So I don't know if that means that maybe she wasn't put into a missing person,
He
database.
might not have ever actually filed the missing person.
And did Dustin and was Dustin maybe talking to him or not talking to him, and there was no communication? Like, what was going on with that?
Yeah.
I'd love to know. I'd love to hear from Dustin. And if I'm wrong about any of these things, like I said, I'm picking this up from what I've heard from family members of Caitlyn.
Yeah.
Um, some of the family did go in after they did do this 9 month official search and talk to the detectives on this case. And one of them actually had to leave or resign because he lost text messages, those very important text messages off Caitlyn's phone right before her disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
And when the new detective came in, they told Kaylee and her brother and her aunt that this new detective said, they've lost everything.
Yeah.
There is no evidence. But to me, I mean, here it is. It's that was 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't they be able to get that still off her phone or off her accounts?
I would think there was record of it by the phone company.
Right.
I don't know.
So I mean, this is an odd case.
Yeah.
You got a 26-year-old that uh, you know supposedly jumps out of her window
Mm-hmm.
at 5:30 in the morning, and there's two witnesses that see her. One's not talking, and now one's dead.
Yeah, it sounds to me like Crystal became a victim, somebody who may have known too much.
I think so.
That's what it sounds like.
So what do you think?
Again, everything's alleged, um, but as the story unfolds, it sounds to me like Scotty got involved in something, and maybe even Dustin got involved and got too deep. Um, And I'm saying Dustin may have gotten himself in too deep, and it was just haywire. And too many people knew too much. Too many people learned about things, because one thing that comes to mind, like Scotty moved away from Indiana to all the way to Tennessee. And it sounds like that was the first step in maybe wanting to go live a life that he wanted in Indiana. He just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So he had to remove himself and go somewhere where he felt like he could live his life.
And I mean, it's like Caitlyn wouldn't have judged him if he was gay. So, I mean, that's the thing. If that was what he was hiding, and I don't know that somebody didn't hack his page.
But what if it's not even gay? What if it's just drugs? You
Right.
know, and this whole gay homosexual unity flag thing is just somebody trying to, again, throw the dogs off the scent. What if? I'm just saying, what if? That area is very notorious for two things: the drug trade and sex trade.
Right. And when we go in and talk about Aaron Shankey,
Mm-hmm.
that was on Turkeytown Road as well, we'll talk about some of the things that I feel like, and a lot of people feel like he was killed for. I mean,
Yeah.
like a lot of sex trafficking.
Yeah. So the story of Crystal Dean's going to take us down a few more roads.
Crystal Dean and Caitlyn, yeah. And Caitlyn and Aaron Shankey actually knew each other. So that's another little twist in this, that it's just, there's a lot to this. And I feel like Caitlyn doesn't have a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And this story needs to be put out, because this is 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And we just watched this with the Karen Swift case. A decade goes by and you lose, or more, and you lose a lot of information, a lot of credibility, memory, and it can leave you where there's no justice at all.
Yeah.
And there's several things that could have happened. Maybe Caitlyn did leave out that window.
Yeah.
And maybe someone did pick her up and take her, and
Yeah.
But as far as her family, what they claim, she would never have left.
Mm-mm.
She would never have missed a birthday. She would never miss out on her nephew. She'd never miss out on holidays. And it looks like she spent a lot of time with Dustin's family through holidays and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
She got to feel that.
Yep. And she don't come across as anybody that would just disappear into the woods at night.
No.
In the state that they claim she was in.
Right.
She's not the type of person that would abuse animals or even threaten that.
No, she's not irrational. I feel like that. And like I said, I did go deep in looking into old posts and things, and Dustin has gone hard looking for her. Really sweet things. Lots of times she crosses his mind, and you can tell that.
Yeah.
Scotty Ledbetter,
Nothing.
crickets.
Nothing. That's a lot of the reason I think Dustin just may have gotten himself in too deep into something, and thankfully he survived it.
Yeah.
But still, I think that's maybe what happened. It could be.
Yeah. And I would love to hear from Scotty Ledbetter, but evidently he's not talking to anyone.
All right.
So, I mean, it just, to me, usually the ones that are really, really quiet are the ones you need to watch. And that's how I feel. Dustin has been very loud, very vocal, and very steadfast of looking for Caitlyn. Without any cooperation, probably, it doesn't sound like. I know that this district attorney, his name is, what is his name?
Well, while you're looking that up, I'm going to say this. The only other person that knew what happened or was witness to anything, or the last person to see Caitlyn, is dead.
Yes.
Crystal Dean.
Yeah.
Again, she knew too much.
I would think, I mean, it's sad to say that Caitlyn is presumed dead.
Mm-hmm.
But the DA there is Bryant Dunaway.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do more cases from this area, you will get an idea of what's going on
Yeah, and
in
how he
this
conducts
county.
himself. Yeah.
Right. The sheriff of Overton County is John Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he's been there for a while too. I know Bryant Dunaway, the DA, has been there since 2014.
Yeah.
So,
Dang
yeah.
near be 10 years next year or this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this case with Caitlyn,
Mm-hmm.
it just seems like it would get more attention. People don't just disappear.
Well, but also, like we said in the beginning, over the next few episodes, people will start seeing and hearing the trend in this area.
The pattern.
Yeah. And maybe that's what it's going to take to get some more eyes on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate thing, but this area is developed or has developed a trend about stuff like this.
Yeah, it has. It just seems like every time I turn around, there's something else in Tennessee. And this with Caitlyn is not that old, but it is 3 years old. And I feel like it needs to be out more.
Yep. Well, we're doing it. That's why we're doing this.
Yep.
And that's why we need to hear from you. So let's talk about Scotty and Dustin. I mean, hey, you're more than welcome to comment on this.
Oh,
and
sure.
we want to hear from you.
Sure. And I mean, if someone hacked into Scotty, I'm gonna put the Facebook up there. Don't harass him though. I mean, put what he said anyway. And no one has a problem with someone being gay, but I just wanted to confirm that what Kaylee was saying from Caitlyn seems like it rings true.
Yeah.
So,
and Kaylee too, and any of the rest of Caitlyn's family, please talk to us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Help us out. Help us keep this word going. Help us keep this case in front of people's eyes and ears.
Yeah, let us fix anything that's not correct in this.
Mm-hmm.
And, get it out there.
Yep. And that's why we love what we do. It's, we have to have interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you're watching this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and share these videos. That's
Please.
the way we keep the word out.
Yes.
And we so appreciate everybody, all of our watchers and listeners out there. So thank you very much. Help us keep it going by hitting that like and subscribe. All right.
All right.
Well, stay tuned because again, the next few episodes are going to play to this area. And I think you guys will start putting this trend together too, as you hear more about this.
That's right.
All right. So, Taryn, that was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. And we'll see you all again soon.
Bye.
Bye.